No, he's not, but a well-played draw from Hans Niemann. He was better in that one. He probably spoiled something there. And the concept of mind squares, Dvoretsky, the legend with his manual. And here we see that the legend of Hikaru Nakamura, it continues on. 13-6, a 7-point spread still. So can Hans at least make a dent? Can he, cut it down to 4 to make the final score seem a little bit closer?
Yeah, I mean, it might be a bygone conclusion the way this has started. Hikaru plays fast. He's so hard to bring down. And again, he's showing a proclivity for this weird queenside fianchetto in a Rui Lopez.
This is something that queen f8, because knight f5 check, his queen protects h6. So Hikaru's accepting passive, ugly-looking positions because he's just trying to play quickly, but Hans is even faster.
Hans has played fantastic so far in the bullet. Where was this earlier in the match? But look at Hikaru. He meets him at the top. d6 can't take it because of knight f5. Is this pawn a strength or a weakness, Robert?
Oh, it looks like a strength for now, but I'm going to...
Bishop f7 at the end doesn't actually do anything.
So if bishop f7, queen h6, the king just goes back to g8.
And knight e7, rook takes e7. Hikaru's pieces in the right place at the right time. Hans, he seemed to be confident. Queen g5, king h8. You don't even have a perpetual.
That must be so frustrating. But the rook is coming up. A rook lift going to g3. Queen h7. If rook g3 check, king h8. And Hikaru finds it so quickly.
I mean, ignore anything I showed or said. Just watch Hikaru defend this position up 2 pieces.
King f7. I mean, he is walking into the line of fire, but there's a queen trade on offer. And done it, how do you avoid that queen g5?
Oh, no. But you're 2 minor pieces down.
Yeah, you can't afford to trade queens here. There's no hope.
There's all pawns. There's a lot of pawns, but there's definitely no hope here.
Oh, rook c7 is a good try, but everything is defended, and Hans resigns. Another win for Hikaru Nakamura.
Well, Benny Watts would have approved of that one, and Hans, out of desperation, he says, well, you fianchettoed your bishop n1. Maybe I need to do the same. I don't know if that logic will hold.
Well, as commentators, we don't root for anybody. We love close matches, but at some point you just have to commend dominance. And Hikaru yesterday, wasn't the Hikaru of previous SECs, but he is controlling this match, although he did just blunder as soon as I went to compliment him, so I guess that's a commentator's curse.
Well, you can afford blunders with an 8-point lead in the last segment. I think he was relying on knight takes d4 and queen g4, maybe forgetting that bishop takes e5 defends everything. But Hans is not out of the woods because he's not out of the center, and it looks like he won't be. Bishop c6 blocking c5.
Yeah, that was a strange decision from Hans, who's playing very quickly, and rook b3 at some moment, bring more pieces into the attack. And oh, I love that, rerouting the bishop to control all those loose dark squares.
And now you can castle, but you're going from the frying pan into the fire.
Oh, goodness. I mean, look at this. The black king, it's going to be in some trouble, but the good news is that all files are covered from the black side. But queen c3, what are you aiming for?
I have no idea. I just wanted to draw an arrow.
I appreciate the honesty. Queen h4 now?
Rook b3, queen h4.
Queen g5.
Oh, zig and zag and serpentining his way, knifing his way into these dark squares. This is why opposite colored bishops favor the attacker. But Hans says, I'm throwing anything I got at you. f4 allows queen d3. This is the problem. You push pawns too far. We talked about this earlier. You open up more entry points to the enemy king. Queen f1.
Yeah, but so far, fantastic defense from Hans. That g5 move was well-timed. And
defense turning into offense, someone's favorite part of sports.
Yeah, but this looks absolutely terrible for Hikaru. So Hans is just crushing him in this game. And while it won't help him in the overall match, I mean, if Hikaru's, can he save this? Is that possible?
Well, he's trying his best. But queen f3 and f4, I think, is game over.
Rook takes g3 check.
Or queen h1. Oh, here.
Oh.
Rook b3, and queens are getting trained. He's still going. He got 2 passers.
He's going just to waste time off the match clock, but obviously black is crushing in this game.
At this point, I'm hesitant to say anything, but Hans will take this one. He'll take the lead in the bullet segment.
Wow, so Hans Niemann getting a win here with 21.5 minutes remaining in the overall match clock. Hans gets this, but Hikaru, we know his experience. He just plays it out to waste more time so that the match can conclude a little bit more quickly.
And I can relate to the feeling of being down, whatever you're down, waiting for Hikaru to exhaust the 30 or 40 seconds he always has at the end of a bullet game, and knowing that, you need every second that you can get. But for Hans, you need to find the bright spots. You need to find the positives, and one of them is fighting until the end. He did that yesterday against Magnus. He tied in the bullet segment, so there's no reason for him to stop the fight.
And we saw from his tweet last night that, he makes no excuses for his defeats. He's trying to be motivated by them. Right now, it's hard probably to remain motivated when you're down by 8 points and the match is out of hand. But he is winning this game, and maybe that will lead him to win a couple more.
Indeed. And Hikaru's attempted a blockade here does not succeed.
And Hikaru's just going to play it out till checkmate, but he's going to waste 30 seconds. I'm looking at him. He's drinking his water. He is just going to waste the clock. Now he won't move. Like he didn't see a checkmate in one, so he could make the move.
And he's like putting the car in cruise control, taking your feet off the pedal just to show everybody, I am milking this down as far as I can.
The good news about doing Puzzle Rush is that he knows how to calculate force checkmate even when he's the one getting checkmated.
He's got so much time, he might be able to do a Puzzle Rush in the time he has remaining.
Well, no, he is just waiting it out. So we are down to 20 minutes in the overall match timer. It will be a 7-point spread between these two, and that is checkmate pre-move by Hans Niemann. He gets a win. Hikaru Nakamura loses. Hans Niemann, he may use that to get a mini streak going.
Hans has thrown some punches. He's had bright spots. He brought this lead down to 1 in what seems like a different universe, but there just hasn't been enough in the tank. There's been too many blunders, and Hans has talked about it. He hasn't had as many opportunities to play the top guys. Well, he got what he asked for, right? And he needs to turn this into a learning experience because this definitely was a learning experience for him. Hikaru, though, can't take his foot off the gas pedal entirely, Robert.
I'm just looking at the way these two are playing. It seems like instant chess from both of them and some dubious moves at times. It's the nature of Bullet, but this position looks wide open, and it's the White King that I fear is in some danger.
How many ways has this pawn structure transformed in the last 6 moves?
Another one right now. Oh, he took with the knight. I thought he was taking with the pawn to transform it once more. Is bishop takes h6 on your radar?
I don't think I have any radar.
It looks very nice for black. The bishop pair, now, no longer a bishop pair, but perhaps an extra pawn coming his way.
I'm just keeping track of the moves that are being made, and I have no bright thoughts to share. Knight f4. The computer has some bright thoughts to share.
Hans finds it. I guess bishop d4 would not have defended that pawn successfully. So black is a pawn ahead, but opposite colored bishops notoriously gives attacking chances. And if a rook can swing to g3 down, then white could say, I'll have something over there, but black is just simply a pawn ahead.
Yeah, I mean, white should not lose that. White might not even be worse because of the just total blockade that he has. Black is just never pushing this d-pawn, but never say never. I think Hans is sabotaging himself here. Now rook d8 and d4 is not an impossibility.
Yeah, at some moment that d-pawn would like to push forward, but now white is pushing his pawns on the queen side. So Hans can get that pawn up the board. If he could successfully play a6, he'd be in business, and that's what he's going for.
And queen e5 might put him out of business. d4 is on the board. Not a move I thought we'd see this game. Queen to d5 could be the follow-up, picking up the b-pawn. And now white's winning chances are at a minimum. Maybe you can generate some play against black's king. Doesn't look likely. You're shaking your head. Hans is about to be shaking his. Hikaru's likely to win this one.
I'm mainly shaking my head because even if it's a draw, it's going to...
King h6 resigns?
Queen d2.
Oh, queen d2, and I resign.
Yes, so rook d3, a little intermezzo, a cheeky move, so you don't blunder any.
What a move. I mean, there have been some spots where Hans, if you're like he does more of this, he wins, except against Hikaru.
Yeah, the thing is, when you're an amazing tactician, sometimes that can work against you because you spot, wow, that's really cool. If they take with the king, I win the rook. If they take with the pawn, they're in trouble. But then there's a little move, rook d3, keeping all the pieces protected, and Hikaru's got everything covered.
Well, it would have worked against me, but that's why I'm one floor above Hikaru and many hundreds of rating points below Hikaru.
Well, you have held your own in many a match against Hikaru, but when Hikaru's playing like this, very few. Another win for Hikaru Nakamura. Round of applause from the audience here. I mean, even Magnus has said it. When Hikaru is in top shape, that he himself struggles. We saw it 2 years ago. Hikaru beat Magnus head-to-head in the final. Last year, it was a 1-point win for Magnus. Oh, so close. So when Hikaru finds his form, he's just at the top of the game. And unfortunately for him, he found it a day late.
Some of my most memorable moments, of course, commentating with you, but also commentating the SEC finals with you through the years, which always seem to feature Magnus versus Hikaru. We're having a changing of the guard here, but not entirely. Hikaru is here to stay, and he will stay on the podium, it seems, as he gets another commanding advantage in the endgame. This lead close to double digits. That rook is nowhere to stay on the second rank. Go back
No, he's up a pawn, healthier pawn structures with double isolate. Every black pawn is isolated, every single one. And the knights are protecting one another. The rook goes to a semi-open file. And, you said a changing of the guard, and I think sometimes people just assume it's always Magnus and Hikaru. And if
95.
is there 95 coming?
And F4.
Yeah, I was looking at that too, and that just wins a piece. So another win for Hikaru Nakamura. He had more time than he started with, everybody. He is just on another level, and not just in terms of his physical location. So, but Donnie, what I wanted to say,
that was awesome.
Appreciate that, partner. What I wanted to say is, people think that anytime Magnus or Hikaru loses, some huge upset, it's like the end of the world, they should be ashamed of themselves. I think it's really just a testament to Alireza Firouzja's strength, that he has joined them, I think, quite officially as that three-headed monster at the top of speed chess, at least online. So Alireza versus Magnus tomorrow, that's going to be the dominant storyline. We had Magnus sitting here earlier. He seems pretty calm, refreshed from a match yesterday. What do you make of that as we look forward to tomorrow?
The fact that Hikaru is winning this match the way that he is, that's making Alireza's performance, as you said, even more impressive. And it's giving us even more to get excited about as we get into the finals tomorrow with Magnus facing Alireza. Now, Magnus never seems entirely satisfied with this play. He beat Min by like 20 points. He's like, this was a pretty mediocre day for me. Magnus is a self-critical guy, and I guess that's without that quality, you can't reach the heights that he has. But, Alireza was unstoppable yesterday. This is 2,800 Alireza, and he's in a good mood. He's positive on and off the board. We're in for a doozy tomorrow. We're in for a doozy today. Hikaru keeps on winning. It's a double-digit lead.
10-point lead for Hikaru Nakamura. We finished one thought and the game ends. Hikaru is just flexing on him right now. It's just pure dominance. And there's nothing that Hans can do in these bullet time control. The match is already out of hand. Typically, that serves the player who's trailing. But here, it's just Hikaru game after game. And Danya, it seems like, look at his time. He just wants to play as quickly as possible and keep winning games.
Indeed. And every type of position he's managed to win. He started the match steering the game into positional territory. And Hans was winning a lot of the tactical head-to-head battles, the chaotic positions. He was staying in the match, but at some point, even those games started to go Hikaru's way. And after that, there was no hope. We're only punt. B4?
B4 is the only move that kept White the advantage. What a weird, seemingly aimless move. But he plays it the second time around.
Wow.
And why is White so much better? It's just that E-Pawn will survive and there's no actual attack against the White King?
Wow, Black has put these spikes on the queen side, but that's how they used to bury vampires, just put the spikes on so they don't rise out of the grave. But, okay, Hikaru might have just put himself in the grave in this game with F4.
And G3, so he's trying to control all the dark squares.
F2, F4.
EF, and where's... So what's next?
King H1, you don't want to see that move. DC.
Yeah, is there a checkmate? We both leaned in. DC,
Rook G1,
King
G3,
H1.
King H1. Hikaru's going to win.
Oh, my goodness. Because even if you play some kind of Rook G1 check, you just take with the Rook and get a queen again. So this pawn is just too strong for Hikaru.
And not catch a break. DC, D7, also probably winning, but not as effective because maybe Queen D8 prolongs the game, but it does give up the Rook.
Yeah, I don't think Hikaru is too worried about that one. And Rook G1 check in another universe would be a really nasty move from the black side, but it doesn't work when there's a pawn about to promote.
Yeah, King H1. He only needs one pawn.
Yeah,
this is about to be an 11-point lead. One queen replaces another. One win replaces another. Queen takes C7, Queen F4. There's no threats here, Robert. Maybe Queen G1 and F2, though.
That would be a pretty big threat, but it looks like the Black King is being checkmated first. Another win for Hikaru Nakamura. He is now up 11 points.
Uh-oh. When you see a reverse Caro-Kann, that's it's not a good sign. And it's that previous game, Robert, was like a famous anecdote involving Alekhine. It's like he plays a simul, he plays an amateur who says, Mr. Alekhine, world champion, I announce a mate in 3. Mr. Alekhine says, well, for full due respect, I announce a mate in 2. Black King got hunted down first.
It definitely did, and right now you see the players on screen. Hikaru locked in, bopping, doing his streamer thing, and Hans, I think he wishes he was anywhere except across from Hikaru Nakamura. And Hans has had a great Speeches Championship. He won 2 matches. He's been playing really well throughout the year, but when you're facing off against the historic number 1 and 2 in the world of Blitz, you will have your hands not just full, but probably a little overloaded.
And Hans has proven himself in many time controls. He's now among the top 20 players of the world. He's passed a lot of legends and stalwarts. But, he's at the next stage. And I think he's just discovered that, these top guys are not going down without a fight. He will have to look at these games, use this as a learning experience, and really face some serious adversity because his path to 2,700 and beyond, credit to him, of course, but it's been smooth. Now he's got to do a different kind of reflection and learning. We'll see how he approaches, the couple of months after his SEC finals. 4th place, nothing to sneeze at. But Hikaru, he stakes his claim to bronze medal today in incredible fashion. Hans, will he take a game here?
Well, he stole a bunch of pawns there. Is a back rank checkmate threat, but the knight comes back.
Rook c3.
Well, rook c3 defending, taking that b3 pawn. And this feels like a Hans victory in the making, but it will take much of the remaining time off the clock. Hikaru will not resign. He'll keep trying to figure out how to survive here, but a rook behind a passed pawn, and oh my goodness.
Alfred the A pawn versus Hans the H pawn, and
oh my goodness. I mean, he just does it like every game.
Unbelievable. That knight came out of Rome, Italy to stop that A pawn.
And now there are 2 different passers that white has to deal with, so you have to be really careful, but the king can come to d4, and then I was just saying,
my gosh.
Oh, don't go like king
Since
c6.
when could a king move 3 squares at once?
Right, like king c6, d4, and suddenly black is going in the correct direction.
Because white's king could get locked in. We saw Hans should have done that in the game that he lost. But no, the king goes the other way. Are we going to get like a king race?
Oh my gosh. No, but he didn't go bring his king back.
Oh, he should have gone king d6.
He should have brought his king back, but there is you can't take on g3.
Queen a4 is a draw, though. It's a theoretical draw.
You can also take on g3, but then queen c7 check wins that queen right back with the skewer. So, I mean, Hikaru...
And another one replaces it?
It's actually quite instructive how he could have won by bringing his king back to essentially stalemate the white king, but the white would have a knight remaining and the black pawn would have promoted.
The crazy thing is in a bullet game, it's almost black who's playing for a win here because the queen trade is probably still a draw, but white's king would then have to walk all the way back because you will lose your knight if the queens get traded. Okay.
That pawn's going, but I'm not sure if Hikaru minds losing that pawn because he could force a draw, and then he can also just wait out the clock.
Yeah, and he will do both of those things. A repetition, but 30 seconds on his clock. He's always got 30 or 40 seconds, but not this time. The match is in the bag. He's up double digits, and he wants more bullet games rather than less.
The fact that he survived that game. He was down material. His opponent had a runaway passer, but he traded rooks at the correct moment and then was able to bring his knight to the defense. It just feels like he sees everything from like 4 moves away and is just in time.
And the worst thing is sometimes you feel like there are just not enough pieces on the board for him to manufacture chances. Oftentimes there's only one. And that's the only piece he needs because he often gives it away at the right moment. Knight f5 check. Remember in that knight endgame? You're transfixed by another case of the queenside attack. Hans, though, with a kingside attack.
Hans going for checkmate.
Whoa. Bishop b1 and f3. Is that what he wants?
What a clever little sequence, right? He's trying to win a piece in that way. And now that bishop on c8, it's stuck at home. White can try to press forward at any moment, but it's Hans who's bringing his artillery to the battle here.
If only he could bring this artillery to the battle.
Yeah, if that rook could get in the game, then black would be really happy. But for now, it's clogged on that side, and knight f4 is a really strong move from Hikaru.
e6, a4. This is an instructive formation because b5 is met by a5, a5 is met by b5, and the queenside remains locked. Hans needs to get this bishop out of c8.
He brings his knight back. He doesn't want to see a trade. And now black is threatening to go rook g7, king's Indian style, go after the white king. But to my eyes, white's king is very well defended. There's a bishop and a knight and not enough attackers from the black side.
Hans doing his best, using the resources he has, but Hikaru easily parrying all of the one-move threats. And it's a matter of time until he starts going on the offensive here, either in the center with d5 at the right moment, maybe a queen trade. The end. Oh, I would have taken AB, at least open the A file.
And black can't move. That bishop on c8 is stuck pretty much forever. The rook on a8 can't hop over it. And so that means that Hikaru has a free hand in this position and can play it on forever.
And that's precisely what he's going to do. There's 6 minutes, and I think we looked at the match clock at the same time. There isn't forever left in the match.
I don't think there's forever left in this game because the black king's on e7 all of a sudden, and the center's opening up.
e5, queen a3 check is a likely move. Maybe queen a3 without a check.
Why not? Pin a pawn. Rook e2, invite d5, and look at the bishop on c8. It just can't move.
Oh, takes something, takes d5, something to h5.
Takes e8, free piece.
Oh, and the bishop, look at the... Hans has reset his entire queenside for the next game. This is demolition.
And we have a slow clap this time from the audience. I think everyone is starting to feel, what we all feel. Like for Hans, I mean, the match is already over. It's kind of leave him alone, right? Like it's just a one-sided matchup here. And Hikaru, I think he's the one person who probably just says, no, let's continue this match because I'm feeling it. I'm taking all your rating with me.
And whether you're a fan or not, it's painful to get blown out because you feel like the match goes on forever. You feel like you look at the clock, 6 more minutes left, 6 more minutes left. You keep losing games. Hans wants this one to be over. He wants to get home and start analyzing these games and moving on to his next exploit. But Hikaru, let me tell you, he is enjoying every second of this. He wouldn't mind another 30 minutes of bullet.
Hikaru's, of course, playing great. We expect that from him. But Hans, he has played many awesome games. He had that queen sacrifice. That was a brilliant game where he first sacrificed a piece, then the exchange, and the queen f6, and just ended it. So that still might be the best game of the match. But unfortunately, he couldn't string together, say, 3 wins in a row. And we saw in the 3-minute time control, Danya, how many games did Hikaru win? He won 7 of them to just 1.5 for Hans there. So it just he wasn't able to get consistency, and that's because the players he's playing against are just at the absolute top of the game.
He played Magnus, and then he played Hikaru, 2 pretty difficult opponents. And like you said, he had some bright spots. Magnus himself complimented Hans on several fronts. Good positional understanding, good instincts, his opening preparation among the best, but hasn't put those skills together. And he's talked a big talk coming into this tournament. He has been humbled. And again, the question is, how will he approach that very difficult period, Robert? Every GM has had this period. You've played a bad tournament. You need to look at the games. I don't want to look at this game because Hans might blow another winning position.
Yeah, I just turned my head to look at the game, and suddenly that knight took a pawn, hopped around, and black is even on material. So Hikaru was in trouble. He was cramped. White was winning pawns. Now the material's leveled up.
I would have taken the bishop, maybe bishop b8 now if Hikaru feels frisky. But then rook to b4. I mean, typically the connected passers are better, but White's king is also further away. e4 check?
Yeah, e4 check. Don't blunder a fork with knight f7, but remember the bishop hits the white king. How are you going to stop c3, c2, c1?
I mean, you're asking questions that I don't have an answer to. Knight g4, knight f6. Even that doesn't work because the bishop can step in front of the rook. Don't tell me Hikaru was going to win this one too.
Goes knight f7. Where's that knight going to? Back to g5. So what does he want after?
h5, h6, h7. No, he's going to loot bishop f4.
Yeah, well, there's also bishop c7.
But knight e4, knight f6 is a perpetual because the king can't walk to d8 because of a mate on d7.
But what you were saying before, he could have played c2 because bishop c7 would always cut off the 7th rank after h6.
What I was saying before?
Well, this knight is just doing really a hero's load of work right now. Just going to check back and forth. The king goes d8. As you said, rook d7 would have been mate. That's a draw, which means we may get 2 more games.
You couldn't draw it up any better.
No, I think for Hikaru you couldn't because he didn't lose a game where he was in big trouble. And I thought Hikaru was black in this game because I've seen him play this on the black side so many times.
Yep, and typically the engine evaluates this heavily in White's favor. Bishop pair, better center, but you've got this weak pawn on d4, and Hikaru loves closed positions. I don't know if he loves... Oh, no, again, he's White. He definitely loves this closed position as well. And 2.5 left. Robert, a very memorable consolation match here at the 2024 SEC Finals.
Yeah, so many takeaways from this match, the matches we saw yesterday, and I'm just feeling so happy that tomorrow we'll get a whole nother match, and that's actually Championship Sunday. So a lot of people have been talking about, how will Hans fare against first Magnus, now Hikaru. Let's not forget that the championship match, the 2 players playing for the lion's share of the prize, first place overall, Magnus and Alireza back tomorrow.
You could not ask for anything better. There's been so much anticipation going into this weekend, and you almost want the anticipation to continue. It's like that present you've been looking for, and you don't want to unwrap it. But I don't think any of us have regretted what we've seen thus far, and the most entertaining part very likely still ahead. I mean, Hikaru doing things to Black's kingside here that I don't want to speak about.
You said entertaining, and suddenly there's a knight sack on g6. The black king went up and back, and Hikaru, he is doing well on the clock. He could take king h2. I mean, that's just such a Hikaru move. He wants rook b1, rook g1.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's only going to take the pawns on the king side when he's good and ready.
You read his mind. I thought he was just sort of, putting his old Russian schoolboy hat on. No, he is putting his I want to checkmate you in 3 moves hat on in 0.